Good morning, Tony Dattino, founder of the USA Memory Championship, and noticing it is April 15th. Are your taxes filed? My goodness, I've got to ask that question of my own accountant. So it's hard to believe the days just keep flying by and we keep cropping up and moving faster than I think we can keep up with. But in any case, it's April 15th, 2026, and the days go by pretty quickly, at least. They at least seem to be on my calendar. And as I'm reading, again, over this past weekend, I saved several articles that I wanted to address in my Live with Tony. And one of them that I wanted to address was this: can computerized brain games really improve memory and thinking skills? And this comes to us from the Mind, Mood, and Memory magazine put out by Massachusetts General Hospital. And so keeping the brain busy, the psychologist and director of learning and emotional programs at the Massachusetts General addresses the use of brain games and benefits, in terms of what are the benefits. They may be more effective for adults who experience atypical cognitive decline than for those who experience normal aging. So I guess she raises the point: if you are not feeling like you're in a cognitive decline, do you really get benefits out of brain games? And are they just games that you learn to get better at? But if you're playing them for the purposes of having fun and just playing a game, then that's no problem. But what she goes on to suggest is the apps tend to show that most benefit for cognitive skills. For example, if you're doing a game that requires you to retrieve and spell words, you might be better at retrieving the words, but you're not getting better at unrelated tasks. So what she kind of does is she kind of puts the brain games into a silo that says, well, you'll be good at this game, but how will that transfer to something else? So what she's really doing is getting you to step back and think about the whole brain and saying, okay, if you're doing something that's building a specific skill, can that skill be related to other problems in your life, like your creativity, like your problem solving? How would you link and connect any particular game that you're playing that's not just for the fun of the game, but how you might explore it and connect it to other activities? Now, she goes on to say there's no risk to doing this, so it's not like you're doing anything bad, but unless, as you're playing the game, you get competitive about it, and you want to get better and better, and you get freeze up and you get tense. So if you're a competitive type person, then you start to build a level of stress into your body, and there's stress into your mind or your thoughts. Well, that's not supporting your brain health or your cognitive function, so that's probably not a good thing that you'd be doing. But what you want to be able to do is find things that are challenging, so things that are going to be challenging to you. So you want to have activities that are building skills. Maybe she suggests a foreign language, a musical instrument, gourmet cooking, or stimulate brain activities. So I step back and think about, okay, so if I learn how to be a better cook, if I learn how to be a better musician, the challenge to me as I continue to read these types of articles is, well, what are the best types of brain exercises that you can do that help you in everyday life? So I guess I go back to continue to think about the things we do in the USA Memory Championship, and as I read articles like this, I want to always think about, okay, how does the activity we have in the Memory Championship of remembering names and faces and maybe a birth date or a list of hobbies, favorite pet, how do those activities that we give to mental athletes in the USA Memory Championship, how do they translate to something that the doctor is suggesting here in this article? And is it a useful skill? Is it something that you'll go about using every day? And I guess from all of the times that I've run the USA Memory Championship, now which is going to be 27 years, probably the names and faces, the one that people like the most. I want to know how you do that. How can I improve that? In my consulting work, people want to remember names and faces of people that are in the organization that are important to them, new people coming in, people that you work with, and getting work done. And so when I think of what we do in the names and faces, we're doing different activities in the brain. So for example, we're showing you a picture of a face, so now you've got to get your visual cortex working. When we're giving you information about them, maybe it's a string of numbers, maybe it's their birth date. Now we're accessing your numerical capacities. When we give you their favorite foods, we're giving you the spatial, the listing, the details. When we're showing you the whole picture on a mind map, we're giving you the holistic view, the gestalt, as we call it. And so when I think of that particular event against what the doc here is suggesting, I think it supports our overall mental functions of how do we enhance and build and strengthen our abilities to take information in and then find practical uses. And there's nothing better than, I think, is the names and faces event that we do in that. And I'd be hard pressed to find somebody that would think that, gee, why would you even do that? Who would ever use the application of remembering names and faces, right? So that's one of the events that we use, and I feel very strongly about that. It really fits what the doc is suggesting here about something that's challenging, something that has a broader use, certainly something that taps into multiple mental skills that are in the left and right brain. And I would think that it would be something that people use all the time as you're going about socializing, right? Socializing, important skill. Boy, wouldn't it be fun if you, in your socialization, remember people's names and you could remember 2 or 3 pieces of information about them. How about the exercise? So now, physical exercise. Well, we know more and more that taking physical exercise is better than sitting down at a computer and a laptop, and about getting up and taking a walk. So we keep seeing more and more about the importance of physical activities. And so I cannot disagree with the doc on that in terms of recommending maybe it's a walk, maybe you go out as the weather gets warmer, go and jump into a pool, maybe you get on a bike, or maybe you just, after dinner you take a 5-minute walk and just go outside and get out and go walk and see what the sights are and see what's going on and people. Maybe you stop and meet somebody walking a dog, or all of these things are possible. And then, of course, your nutritional health. So what are you eating? And we're learning more and more about the impacts of nutrition on our lives and what those mean. So it's not just, I'm going to sit down and play a game, and therefore, I've exercised my brain. It's, no, you know what, I'm going to learn names and faces. I'm going to go out and meet somebody. I'm going to try to introduce myself and learn some things about them that are interesting and see if there's some way that I can take a skill of how do you remember lists? How do you remember numbers? Maybe I'm going to get an address. Maybe it's somebody that will give me their phone number if it's somebody I've met several times and I want to get together for a cup of coffee. And so you're multiplying your benefits of not just getting out in the social activities of it and getting a little bit of exercise, but you're also exercising your thinking skills and building some function in the cortical skills of the human mind. So it's always interesting to see what, as more and more people are looking, what can I do? There's a greater interest of people today in wanting to do something that's going to improve their mental fitness and their cognitive functions. And the search continues to be, so what are those best things? And so I think Doc here does a great job of getting you to think this through and wanting to do things that are challenging and useful to you that will also connect the broader base of mental skills and functions, problem solving, creativity, helping you with social interaction. And I think she does a nice job of pulling some of those pieces together. So there's your lesson for today. We're at midweek already. It's not election day, it's tax filing day. So get your taxes done, get them submitted, and we'll see you back here on Friday.